On permanent exhibition at the Philadelphia Museum of Art is Manet's masterpiece painting of one of the most famous naval battles of the American Civil War, between the USS Kearsarge and the CSS Alabama, on June 19, 1864, in the English Channel, 7 miles off Cherbourg. Although the encounter is little known by most Americans today, the word famous is appropriate because, for the generation that survived the Civil War, this battle was as recognized as Gettysburg. The ships involved were as noted as the Monitor and Merrimac, and the captains, Raphael Semmes of the Alabama and John Ancrum Winslow of the Kearsarge, were as renowned as Admiral David Farragut. Manet's painting is but one manifestation of the international and domestic attention the battle received in its day and the universal recognition of its importance. At a moment when the outcome of the Civil War was still in doubt, and with Abraham Lincoln in a tough campaign against George McClellan, the Alabama's timely demise enhanced his chances of re-election. It also delivered a much-needed lift to Northern morale and a corresponding gut punch to the South. By further seeding international doubt about the South's viability, the outcome helped to keep England, which had failed to prevent the Alabama being constructed in Liverpool, from recognizing the Confederacy. Not unlike the Russian-Ukrainian conflict that began in 2022, the Civil War had become a conflict of attrition, and much of the world was hedging its bets. When news of the battle arrived in Washington on July 5th, Secretary of the Navy Gideon Welles recorded in his diary, "There is great rejoicing throughout the country over this success, which is universally and justly conceded a triumph over England as well as over the rebels." What made this battle, fought more than 3,000 miles from the nearest American shore, worthy of such attention? Over a 22-month voyage, from 1862 to 1864, the Alabama had cruised the North Atlantic, South Atlantic, and Indian Oceans, and captured or burned 64 U.S. merchant vessels and a U.S. Navy warship. Along with other raiders, such as the CSS Sumter, CSS Georgia, CSS Florida, and later the CSS Shenandoah, it was part of the Confederacy's plan to disrupt Union commerce in retaliation for the North's blockade of southern ports. In an increasingly desperate effort to end the highly effective assault, U.S. agents in foreign ports and numerous U.S. Navy vessels kept a vigilant lookout. By January 1863, the New York Times reported that the United States had no fewer than 18 ships scouring the high seas. Conquests, sightings, and port visits were eagerly reported and shared among newspapers around the world, from the Cape Argus to the Singapore Free Press. By the end of the Alabama's cruise, these Confederate raider ships helped drive nearly half of the remaining U.S. merchant fleet to find foreign flags and caused more than a 500% increase in maritime insurance rates. In an important 1940 review, maritime lawyer George W. Dalzell argued that the robust pre-Civil War U.S. merchant fleet had never really recovered from the disaster.